Well, hey friends. If this seems like a continuation of the last video, guess what? You're in luck, it is. Okay, it is darn hot today. I am not tickled about working in the heat, but I don't want to lose this investment. The hedge has landed and she needs water. So I'm going to walk you through some adjustments that we're making, how we're going to shift the irrigation that currently exists to meet our new evolving needs. Okay, friends, Brian got ambitious and started the project without me. Essentially, here's the scoop. We have a supply line. Let's see if we can see this here. Hold on. Okay, there she is. That is the supply line that runs along the head of the garden. And then from there, we have drip tape hooked up and it runs all the way down. Now, we have installed this beautiful arch. Please mind the bird, don't mind the bird netting. This is all bunny protection. And funny enough, they are deterred by this. But essentially, we have created this beautiful pathway all the way down. But if you remember from earlier videos, we snipped the irrigation because we didn't want to be watering this pathway. So you're going to notice right here, I've simply bent my irrigation lines up and they are still running through the bed. So what we're going to do is we are going to trench all the way down here because we are going to tee off of the supply line and run it all the way down here. And then at this corner, we are going to add another tee to run along this pathway so that we have irrigation running to all of these beds. We are then going to continue our 3/4 inch supply line down here to the Texas hedge, and we are going to do a drip line that will run all the way down and around this hedge and then loop back as well. So that is the order of the day. We are going to see how much we get done before it is too hot for us to be out here. And we'll just go from there. Let me bring you around and I'm going to show you the takeoff valves. So running along the header here. Oh, do you love that morning glory? Son of a gun. Okay, this is our 3/4 inch supply line. We went with a larger supply line because we need to move a lot more water through this area. Each one of our lines is hooked up to a valve. When it is in line with our drip tape here, that means the line is on. If you turn it to 90 degrees, it's off. This is such a fabulous thing if you don't have a row planted because you simply turn it on when it does get planted. You'll still need to overhead water while your seedlings and your little babies are little, but this does save a lot of water and makes your watering far more intentional. So we will be installing more valves as we install the drip tape along the second row to the west. These ones will come down here. And by the way, we left these lines a little bit long, so I'll probably clip these down and end them right around here. Do you see how cute my little sweet pea babies are coming along? I actually need to train them up. They got bushy quick once I pinch them back. Okay, so down here, I'm going to cut these off and shorten the line. And then down here on the other side, you can see how sad these sweet peas are. They just, hand watering is not cutting it. We will have a new supply line coming right down here, and we will hook up this existing drip tape to it. This drip tape, by the way, has been in the garden for 4 seasons now, or four growing years, and it is doing so well. It is so durable. Occasionally we'll have to replace a line because it gets punctured or cut or whatever, but it's real good. Also, can we just take a moment for this little sweet pea who's trying to do her thing despite not having enough water? Oh my God, it's so cute. And I believe that is Winter Sunshine Navy. Is that not the most adorable? This is the Beehive app on our phone. This is what controls our irrigation system. We have one set up for the front yard and one set up for the back. In fact, here we are. This is the front yard because it's hooked up to a 1/2 inch line here. And then this is the backyard one. And you can see it's hooked up to the 3/4 inch supply here. We do not have an in-ground irrigation system. I mean, that would be dreamy, but it has not been in the budget. So the beehive has worked really, really well for us. And then you can see we've got like monster valve set up, backflow. There's actually a whole YouTube video on getting this set up. We have gone back and replaced any part that we can find that was plastic. We've replaced it with a metal piece. And then of course using, you know, plumber's tape here. That's our pressure valve to make sure we're not blowing the system. And then we have a 4-way splitter. Good job, Brian. You're doing great. I was all shoveled out from yesterday, so Brian is lending a hand. This is the trench where we are going to run our 3/4 inch supply line down. This will be buried. We're doing a grass pathway for now. I would love to change it up because the grass drives me crazy. This is my 3/4 inch supply line, and this is a 3/4 inch T. I'm going to cut it right here, and then you basically slam these little guys into either end, and it's best, they are threaded, so I'm going to see if I can do this by myself. I don't have as good of grip strength as I used to, so I may call on Brian to help me out with this. It also helps if you leave your tube out in the sun. It kind of heats up and becomes a lot more pliable. Ooh, we got water in the line. Okay, not bad. That is perfect right there. I'm going to change it up with Brian, and I'm going to have him do this end because I don't think I can do this one. For those of us who want to get micro-specific, this one is a Polyflex 3/4 inch supply line rated to 100 PSI, and it's 100 feet long. Okay, I'm gonna do a manual water. Let's just do it for 1 minute. Okay, Brian's gonna plug the other end. I just wanna make sure that the link below isn't leaking. Okay. Oh yeah, you can totally hear it coming through the lines. Okay, that looks really good. Okay, I can hear the system fully engaged, and I can actually check this out. Okay, you can see it here, how it's running. 0 leaks. Yeah, that thing is dry as a bone. Okay, that's perfect. All right, I'm gonna snip the end, and then this is the little this is one option for sealing up the end of your supply line. This one is a 3/4 inch supply. We call them the butts, and you just screw it on, easy as can be. These are my favorite Felco 6s. I also love a Felco 14. Probably I should use a bigger pair of snips, but this is what I had in my kit. And it's great because these things screw down, and then these 2 final barbs are really what like seals it in. All right. Both my barbs are in. I'm gonna call that good. And, oh, I think this is gonna need more time out in the sun before it's ready to fully uncoil. Next piece. We are going to take this little nugget here. This is kind of like a reducer. So it goes from a 3/4 to a 1/2 inch. The drip line that I'm using is 1/2 inch drip line, but I have a 3/4 supply line. So that's why this piece comes in super handy. And again, it's just like all the others. You kind of like twist it on. Let's see if I can show this sucker sideways. That's where we're at. Not bad. Both barbs are in. I can feel them actually right here. I think that's great. Next up, drip line. This is 100 foot long. It's Earthline Brown. It's made by Dig. This is drip line. These have emitters every 12 inches. Now, here's the scoop. I've used this in the front yard, and honestly, I think this clogs more than I would like. However, we got the hedge in yesterday and we were like, shoot, we did not order in advance. So we just went to the big box store and this is what they had. So we're going to use it. Worst case scenario, we pull this up and we put something new in its place. But we're just going to go with this, and I'm going to run this twice along the hedge. I have the supply line hooked up. We have transitioned it out here because I think what I actually want to do is I want to create a little bit more of an entrance here. I want to hide a little bit more of this. And so I've started my drip line down here. I'm actually going to weave my drip line in and out of my U hedge, and then I'm going to run it back in a single run. And then any extra, I'm going to plug the end and I'm going to coil it right here because, like we discussed in the last video, I'm building this out into like a proper border, and I want the ability to water all those plants really easily. Our drip line has also turned into spaghetti tube. And so wish us luck, wish us luck. Oh my God, this is like not pro, not recommended. Woo! Sorry, little hedger. So I left a little bit of a coil down at the very end because I have I think the Martha Stewart rose is going to go at the very end of this hedge as you kind of like turn to go into the patio. And the rest of this, I'm going to run in a single line back along the hedge. Ooh, and I've got a little bit left. And so I'm going to make a little coil here and plug the end. As I fill in this border, I might add on, or I might snake it and see if that's enough. Also, depending on how these taxus get settled, I'm either going to supplemental water or I'm going to add an extra emitter at each individual taxus to make sure they survive. I just need a little end, and then I'm going to start tacking this line in place. So if I've done my math correctly, each one of these taxus should have 3 emitters per taxus, which I think is a good number. It's a good place to start at the very least. There's no way I'm going to catch that. We can try. I need a bet. You know what? Parenting 3 boys and having Brian is finally paying off. Look at this. Did you think I was going to catch it? You did? Oh, I appreciate the vote of confidence. I was not confident. Look at this. It was funny. I thought I had an animal digging in here, but I don't. This is what a blowout looks like when you have a hole in like a line or an emitter. Guys, do you see that right there? Right there, that little tiny nick. caused all of that damage. Okay. I think that means, oh no, it's underneath too. Oh, that's a big one. Okay. Oh yeah, there we go. Okay, all right. So I'm gonna do one walkthrough of the garden, look for any other cuts. What's great is as I discover these, I can turn off the line and keep testing this cut flower zone. So this little guy here is basically a punch, and this is what allows us to punch through our supply line and insert this little cutie. I'm gonna let Brian take over, but essentially punch it once in 18 inches, and then I punch it at 9, and then I punch it at 27. So that is how I like to roll with a 3-foot wide garden bed. Okay, friends, brief intermission. There are, when you purchase these, there are 2 barbs. There's this bigger one, and there is this smaller one. So this is, I think, a 1/4 inch, and then this is a 1/2 inch barb. We like the tinier one. And here's the other problem that we're running into. I forgot that the punch that we have is for this cutie. It is not the right size for this beast and a half. And so I don't want to make another hardware store run because we're getting late in the day. So I think what we're going to do is I'm going to punch pilot holes using the punch we have that is sized for this one. And this is our last tiny. And so we have to use the big guys. So we're going to punch it for the tiny and then come in with a little bit of a drill and make it bigger for this guy. Because guess what? Necessity is the mother of invention. And I'm not going to the hardware store again. By the way, we're using a 5/16 drill bit because of our little screw up. I'm a very tired woman with very pink cheeks. Here is where we stand. Brian has, oh my gosh, Brian's killed himself out there. We were able to fish through the rest of the lines, get them plugged into the new emitters, those little barbed emitters. And we've done everything but the last row, which is fine. I just need to order more supplies. We need more like end closures and such. But now we are in kind of moment of truth where we are going to test drive the system. We're going to make sure everything is functioning flawlessly. We're going to go through each row to make sure all the emitters are emitting water. And also, we need to make sure that we have water reaching the end of our drip irrigation runs. Because if you don't have enough pressure going through the system, then sometimes it will peter out before it gets to the end, which is problematic if you have plants planted at the end. Okay, once we do this, we're going inside, and I feel like it's popsicle time. Alrighty, so here's what we are looking for. Oh, I need to straighten this guy out. But this is exactly what we're looking for here. We're looking for water dripping all the way down. You can hear air being squeezed out the lines. So far, everyone has water coming out. Okay, let's come across here. And how do we look here? Oh, I just put down sluggo because my zinnias are getting eaten by slugs. But look at that, great. That's perfect, that's what we want to see. Here we are at the end of the hedge run, and check that out. It's coming all the way through to the end. Okay, this is great news because it means water is flushed all the way through the line. Okay, so far everything's functioning really, really well. I want to kind of give it like a solid 45-minute runtime and then come back out and look for any sort of puddling, any emitters that are not functioning really well. And that's kind of like extra level to make sure that we have a successful watering system, but super duper easy, super simple. It does take time, but it is not insurmountable for someone at home doing this. So I'm gonna go inside, I'm gonna put my feet up, I'm gonna drink like 5 glasses of water. And then later today, I'm actually getting interviewed by the Seattle Times to talk about one of my favorite garden items. It's the concept of a portal. I will link the Northwest Flower and Garden Festival videos below, but essentially I played really heavily with this concept of a portal during the show. In fact, people were like, is it a pergola? Is it an archway? And I was like, I'm calling them portals because I just feel like it's such a beautiful thing to include in a landscape. So as soon as that article gets published, I will add a link to it in the community tab. Okay, I'm gonna see you in the next one. In the meantime, stay cool out there and say hello to your garden for me.